Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for taking time out for this and joining me here. Today, I'm talking about how we as parents can guide our children to make informed career choices. Your parental coaching and support is vital. Supportive and close family relationships, we know this protects children from risk. So, your support and interest will guide your child and motivate them to put in their best effort and find their way. So, today I'm going to share some strategies, resources that you can use to help your child make that informed career decision. Now, making decisions about careers can be both an exciting and confusing time for young people. Teens are influenced by parents when considering career path. So research done in this area has found that parents are one of the most influential source of information and advice for young people. So as we as parents hold a very important key, we can either close doors with that key or open the doors of future for our children. Our decisions and our influence is going to change the course of their future. So we have to be very, very mindful of this key in our hand and very careful with it. Now, we all know this. Parents wear many hats. These are the hats of confident parents, and they usually know which hat to pull. So as a parent, I have realized it's really important to know the difference when I should be firm or when I should be having fun with them. Or should I be a listener today? And when should I be a teacher? So this is what I call parenting with emotional intelligence. So we have to treat this very carefully. If any of those hats are worn more than required, we will spoil that gentle balance. So my advice here is do not lose that gentle balance. Now, with your own career and your own experiences, you know that for an individual, finding the right career is a process of trial and errors that requires a lot of exploration along the way. So it's up to each young person to actively manage the process of building their career rather than just letting it happen. They need to plan and manage their lifelong career journey. So, as parents, you are the best person suited to help them make those choices. The complexity and competitiveness of today's world often requires that we as parents are able to coach our young person. Now, here are some of the strategies that we can look at to begin with. Now, these are not last minute tips. It's not for just that one conversation you're having with them about what career they want to go for. But our children have been observing us on these aspects over the years. How I talk to my 5-year-old is most likely what he will be having the perception of my work even at 15. And he might become the same person when he turns 25, just like me. So it's really important how we talk about our work in front of our children. They observe our values, our interests, our motivation. So if I have been a hardworking person and I value hard work, there are 80% chances my child will be just like me. If I'm passionate about my work and I wear my passion on my sleeve, then there is a very high likelihood that my child will be like me. If I value honesty and my work, then my child might be just like me. So children learn by observing. Children follow our example instead of our advice. Second is be mindful of your reaction. Be aware of your reaction. That is, if your 5-year-old is sharing with you his dream of becoming an astronaut, or your 15-year-old is sharing with you his dream of going to a top university, your response at that moment matters. Your reaction matters. So if your response to their dream was positive and encouraging, then that is their reality. And if your response has been dismissive, it will prevent them from exploring their options. The third is your interest in their goals. Your child observes if you have interest in their goals and dreams. Your being present, being a listener, being a motivator is what shows your interest to children. And this will encourage them to value their individual goals and realize that they are worth working towards. So I would say, behind every child who believes in himself is a parent who believed in them first. Now, these are the 5 most important messages that we need to convey to our teenagers before they start even exploring their careers. Number 1 is that change is constant. So taking a flexible approach when planning a career can greatly assist when unexpected changes happen. So one of my students who was planning to take veterinary medicine throughout high school goes for human medicine on the last minute instead. So making plans are great, but also be prepared to adjust them along the way. Second is encouraging young people to dream of a future full of different type of career choices. We do not have to close them into a box. Rather, we have to enable them to explore and expand their career possibilities. What may appear to be an unconventional or unrealistic choice may just be the very thing that materializes into a career. Enjoying the journey of your child's career destination is also vital. Sometimes we are so focused on the outcome. Outcomes are important, but remembering to explore and experiment with different career paths can be productive and lots of fun. Next is keeping up to date and adapting to change is important in today's environment, especially when things are changing so quickly. And to know and to make them understand that learning just doesn't come only from school training, but it also comes from everyday activities, such as being part of a community group, or a sporting team, or volunteering, or participating in some after-school activities. And the last is to convey to our children that we are an ally. As parents, we are in the same corner of the house with them. We are not in 2 different corners. While wanting young people to be self-directed, we also want them to feel supported. So being a career ally is part of being a support network for our children. So these support networks can consist of you as a parent, family, friends, role models, and this can be, if it's there, a terrific support for a young person when making career choices. And these are some of the things that we should remember. Now, it is important that your teenager achieves the highest level academically on foundation subjects. So these are the strategies basically for us as parents to remember so that we are able to guide our children. So first on that is, on the foundation subjects, we make sure that they have got good grades, or they're solidly grounded in those subjects. So math, science, and English Before leaving school, these foundation skills support ongoing learning. If your teenager has a goal of going to university, make sure that their year 11 and year 12 subjects align with the university course of choice as much as possible. Now, sometimes there can be fluctuations, sometimes there can be changes, but as much as possible, if we know in year 11 and 12 what subjects to take so that they are aligned with the university course that the student is looking at. It will make their first year at university easier. That is, doing economics and accounting in year 12 will make the first year units of Bachelor's of Business or Commerce much easier. If a teenager wants to go straight into workforce after school, trust me, it is a good idea. It is a good idea to explore the vocational path because not every student is made for academics. Some children do as well in unconventional paths as others do in academics. And sometimes they make better careers and are much more happier and more successful in unconventional careers than going into academics. So there's nothing wrong in exploring that path. Because sometimes I find parents, they come with their own mindsets. So that's where we need to be a little bit more flexible in letting children explore. And if your child is planning to go to university, then make sure they do their research on which institution and course will be best for them. Remember that institutions and businesses too, they are selling you a product. So we need to research well what institution and what course they will be going for. And the last is it's never too late to get back into study. That is, if your teen wants to take a gap year, especially this year, after COVID, there has been learning loss. If there has been time where they are thinking that they haven't got that solid grounding, or they need to take some time off just for their well-being, because this has been such a stressful time, it's absolutely fine to take that gap year. Because further education will always be there when they return. So we do not have to keep pushing them. Now, these are some of the tips how we identify the career interest in our children. So we can use these points as clues. Now, here we as parents must be observant. The choice of career is not a last-minute decision. It is a decision that you guide them to after observing them over the years. What have been their likes and dislikes? What are their hobbies? What kind of activities are they interested in? What kind of personality they have? Can they work in groups or prefer working by themselves? So children as young as 5 can show personality characteristics too. You can observe that in their play. You can see in their play if they have got those leadership skills, communication skills. Can they get along in groups? Also, we need to look at the school subject areas. Which subjects have always been their strongest throughout school? What are your child's strengths? So all of these areas, when put together, will help them lead to that decision. So to find satisfying careers, young people need to know their interests, their abilities, and their values. So as parents, we can assist them to identify who they really are. Okay. Now, no matter what career path our young person chooses. These are some of the skills they will definitely need in any profession. However, these are not the skills, again, that can be taught overnight. These skills should be nurtured over the years. So these are the soft skills that children develop while at school and through their learning years. So helping your teenager understand their skill set, as well as explicitly teaching them these soft skills is important. These skills are directly linked to the employment. These are, I would say, the skills that employers are looking for. So this is why they are called the employability skills. Now, just to touch on that last point over there, as we are entering the 4IR, that is the Industrial Revolution, automation is taking over most of the careers. So digital literacy will be essential to succeed, irrespective of what career your team decides to choose. So a significant number of highly skilled jobs will become digitized in next 10 years. So that's something very important that we need to take care of and train them on. Okay. Now here I'm sharing some of the important resources. If you see that your teenager is still confused by the time they're in grade 12 and still haven't understood what area that they should be going in for, then doing a career assessment is one of the options to know exactly what their interest personality is. So instead of basing our decisions just on observation, we have a scientific measure to measure their interest and then decide what they could go in for. So a career interest inventory basically will give them exposure to different occupations that are out there when they are answering the questions on the inventory. It exposes them to different sort of careers and makes them think, okay, this is something that I probably might be interested in, as they are marking themselves. And that makes them understand or reveal that, okay, this is something that I have not thought of and I might be interested in. So this is how a career test can be really, really useful. The results of a career test look something like this, where we get to understand where exactly the interest of the student lies. So on the broader theme, if we have to divide the occupational interest of our entire population, we all fall under one of these 6 categories. That is, you see the first one, realistic. That is, all the jobs which are hands-on and outdoors fall under the realistic theme. So for example, sports people, army officials, police officers, drivers, mechanics, all of the hands-on jobs fall under the realistic theme. The second is the investigative theme, that is to investigate and to find out. So researchers, scientists, mathematicians, they fall under this category. Artistic theme is where anyone who has artistic bent in them are creative in nature, they fall under this theme. The next is social, that is people who love to work for other people, such as teachers, counselors, psychologists, all fall under this theme. The next is enterprising. It is people who love to take lead or change their mindset, can influence other people easily. So sales, business, politics, law, all of those fall under this theme. And the last is a conventional. That is the behind the desk sort of job, people who love behind the desk sort of job in offices. So receptionists, PROs, managers, all of those. So broadly, the test would give us which interest area is most standing out for the student once they do the assessment. So we see the scores falling in average to high range. Next is the test will break it up further to show under that particular theme that you see the high scores on, what particular occupations the student is interested in. So you see this graph here that shows the high range towards mechanical fixing and electronics for this student that I'm sharing the results of. So this shows specifically on these occupations the student is really interested in. And then it breaks it up further to add additional occupations that the students can consider based on their interest level. So I have highlighted the options over there, and you can see that these are also the options that the student can consider, considering their broader theme of interest. And in the end, the test gives this additional occupation scale, which can be considered. Again, additional occupations under that particular theme that the student can consider based on their interest. Besides this, the test also gives a personality scale to know occupational extroversion, introversion, whether they can work in groups, whether they're educationally oriented or more on vocational side, whether they want short years of study or long year of study. So this becomes a very, very scientific measure, and it gives a very clear idea and a range of professions to consider to start off with. I'll just go very quickly from here. This is a working memory training. So if your child has been struggling in any way at school, and this is why are hesitant to enter into university course, then working memory training is like brain training program that can enhance their ability to focus, to concentrate, and to perform better in learning abilities. And my contact is there. In case anyone wants to contact me on that, then you can contact me on my email, which I'll be sharing at the end. A psychoeducational assessment basically helps find out if a student has any kind of learning problems. So if they have been struggling in any way, you see that they have been putting in effort, have been working hard, but somehow cannot make it, cannot perform, then a psychoeducational assessment will help find what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are before stepping into the university, so that things become easier. Can have the university provide them with access arrangements to help the student complete the course successfully. So a psychoeducational assessment is again a very important resource to consider. This is a book. This is for parents, this is for students, but this book is amazing. I have put down the link here. I don't know if the admin can share the link in the chat, or if I can put it somehow in the chat. I will try and do that in the question answer session. But this book basically is a guide for parents, for children to understand how to start with their careers, how to go on with your career, how you can flexibly change careers, what to consider. And basically it has a lot of resources. You can look at it as an important resource. Okay, so thank you so much. My contact is over here, my email, my website, and my number. Now, if you all have any questions, I will take those quickly.